Hello, I'm Jim Martins, and today I'm going to show you the options of the Ultimate CMS, how they work, and what you can do with them. Where to find the options, pretty easily under System and Options, and then we go to Ultimate CMS. Here we have quite some options. In total, I think on this one alone there are 8 or 7 options actually. The English date format is obviously only useful if you have installed the English language, but as you're listening to the English version of this video, I assume you have. So by default the British version is selected with date, month and year in that order, separate by slashes each. You can also select the American version with month, day and year in that order. Where it is used mostly in the front end when any date has to be presented within the boundaries of the Ultimate CMS. It just has no effect on dates outside the Ultimate CMS, but inside the Ultimate CMS, if you let's say right here something like date or date time where the date is shown, then this format is used in the English language to show the date, and depending on that either starts with a day or with a month. The second option here determines if you're using the what you see is what you get editor or not. If the checkbox is checked, then you're using it, which is the default and basically the recommended version. But if you have performance issues or you say you don't need it, then you can uncheck it. But pay attention, if it's not checked, then some convenience functions don't work, including you cannot click onto a smiley anymore and get it added into the content. So you can write down the smiley codes manually, but then they might get interpreted depending on your settings for the content. But by clicking on them, they won't be inserted that easily anymore into the content. The same goes for the attachments. You can upload them, but you cannot insert them or embed them that easy into contents anymore with a single click. Under the section content, we have here 4 options. Meta above content determines what things are shown above each content of meta information. You have these variables available, whereas you can here select the language in which it should appear: monolingual, German or English, whereas the languages are shown in their corresponding spelling. So German is presented as it is written in German, English how it is written in English, and so on. These are kind of preferences, but they're not binding. What does that mean? It means that later on another video where we show this, but in the templates when you add a block, what stands in here will be shown by default. So let's say just date time here, and here author vcard, but you can change it there to your liking. These variables are hopefully self-explanatory. Date time means the date and the time. Date stands for the date and time for the time. The comments for the amount of comments, I guess. I've looked up at that. Author stands for the name of the author, and author vcard for some blog where you have the avatar of the author plus a small text like the name of the author has written this content or something like that. Categories contains a list of all the categories the content is in, and text, a list of text the content has attached. Below content is basically the same, just what is shown below the content. Comments per page say how many contents are shown per page. So you can comment on contents by default, and there are multiple comment pages. And by default here, after installation you have 10, but you can change this from 1 to whatever. 0 doesn't make sense because then you have no comments shown. To note is that the setting doesn't influence the visibility of the comments. So if the comments are shown, then this setting, this option determines how many of them are shown per page. But if the comments are not shown in the first place, this option is not important at all. Read more length determines after how many characters characters content should be truncated, given that you haven't used more BB code, or the content is not truncated at all. So, well, what does it mean in English? It means that this option is only considered if the content is to be truncated in the first place, and if that is the case, then it's only considered if there is no more BB code prior to these 150 characters. If it's after that, it will still be cut off after 150. Collapsible sidebars determines if the right sidebar can be collapsed or not. By default, with installation, I guess it is that way, but it could also be this way. Just look into that and to be certain. The left sidebar is never collapsible, and in the whole rest of the WCF, of the World Community Framework, by default, or no, not by default, always, the right sidebar is collapsible, as by definition it doesn't contain valuable information or necessary information, but you can, for example, have advertisement there, so you want it to be shown all the time if there is a sidebar existing, right? Yeah. Under sorting, you can find all the options that determine how the lists here are sorted. This option in addition determines how contents in the front end are sorted. Yeah, that's basically it. The others might be used in the front end. If they're not used now, they might be used in the future. But again, this is for the front end part. This is just a preference. You can change it later on individually for each content block, to which we come in a later video. Now to show this in action, we have unchecked the option for showing the what you see is what you get editor. So if we edit it, oh, we didn't uncheck it apparently. Let's get a look into it. Not that we just have discovered. No, we haven't. Well, we want to use it, then we check it. If we don't want to use it, like now, of course we have to uncheck it. Okay, now it should work. Here, wonderful. So if it's unchecked, you just see a simple text field. You can still enter it in monolingual or in German or English or other languages if you've installed any. But you just have a plain text field and don't have all the JavaScript loaded. It has some downsides. You cannot include these things. You could draw the picture of the smiley in there, but that's not very clever, as the picture would only be useful in the specific installation, that specific directory where you install it. If you want to move to another domain, for example, or just a subdirectory, you would have to change all smiley links in the contents, which is rather suicide. So it's better to actually memorize the codes for the smileys and then write them in manually. If you use it without what you see is what you get. Attachments, you can upload something like the lighthouse here, but you cannot simply insert it into the message. But you can get the information if you go on to the link here. You can see right next to attachment, it starts with a 4, so this is the 4th attachment, and you can embed it with using the attack BB code. And just to show that you have here multiple ways of doing it, we will embed it twice and update the setting. Go on the front end. Yeah, it's hard to distinguish them sometimes. Go to the front end. Good, wonderful. And go for index.php test, which is the slug of the page that content is associated with. But also to that later in another video. Here we see now the content with the 2 pictures included, so you can embed one attachment multiple times with these 2 codes. They are equivalent to each other. If you now check Ultimate CMS, check use what you see is what you get editor again. Then if we go and list content and edit it, well, and voila, it's there, and you can insert them pretty easily. Another interesting thing to mention is on list content, we had selected that it's sorted after published descending, but manually you can change here the sorting as well. That is only for this current visit of the page, so once you leave it and re-enter it, it starts there again. Well, that was it with the presentation of the options in the ACP of the Ultimate CMS. And we see us hopefully in the next video about templates, what role they play and how important they are for the Ultimate CMS. Of course, other things are also important, like contents, categories, and pages, but the templates play an important and integral role, even especially compared to other CMS. They're quite important. Alright then, see you in the next video. Thank you for listening and watching.